Let's walk through data classification concepts you'll need to recognize for the Security Plus exam. These questions focus on how sensitive data is and what level of protection it requires. The key is understanding the level of impact if the data is exposed. We'll start with the lowest level of sensitivity. If a scenario describes information that can be freely shared without risk, that is public data. Public data has no confidentiality concerns and is meant for open access. If there is no harm in sharing it, this is your answer. For example, a company's public website, marketing brochures, or published business hours would all be considered public data because anyone can access them without causing harm to the organization. Now let's move up slightly in sensitivity. If the question describes information intended for internal use but not highly sensitive, you are dealing with private data. Private data is restricted to an organization but would cause minimal damage if exposed. For example, internal employee phone directories, staff meeting schedules, or internal workflow documents may be classified as private data because they are meant for employees only, but exposure would likely cause only limited impact. Now let's go deeper, because this is where questions get more specific. If a scenario describes data that must be protected due to potential harm from exposure, such as employee records or internal reports, that is confidential data. Confidential data could cause serious issues if disclosed, so it requires stronger controls. For example, employee performance reviews, internal financial reports, customer account details, or business contracts would commonly be classified as confidential because unauthorized disclosure could damage the organization or violate privacy expectations. Now, at the highest level, if the question describes extremely sensitive data that could cause severe damage to individuals or the organization, that is sensitive data. This often includes things like financial records, personally identifiable information, healthcare records, or classified business data. For example, Social Security numbers, medical records, credit card information, classified government documents, or encryption keys would be considered sensitive data because exposure could lead to identity theft, financial fraud, or major organizational damage. Now let's connect this to how the exam tests you. If the question mentions no risk, think public. If it is internal but low risk, think private. If exposure would cause harm, think confidential. And if exposure would cause severe damage, think sensitive. The most important takeaway is to focus on impact. The higher the impact of exposure, the higher the classification level. Public data is openly shared. Private data is internally restricted. Confidential data could cause organizational harm if exposed. Sensitive data could cause severe damage or legal consequences if compromised. If you can match the description of the data to its potential impact and recognize the types of information associated with each level, you'll be able to select the correct classification quickly and confidently.